What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how you can be an unstoppable wide receiver. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you're a wide receiver and you'd like to train with us this offseason, we are traveling out to 15 states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camp. So next up on our camp tour, we are going to be coming out to San Francisco, then Orlando, New Orleans, Charlotte, Dallas, the DMV, St. Louis, Missouri, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, New Jersey, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities, would like to get some work in with us, 2 days of training, 8 hours total, a ton of one-on-one work. Check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you out. Let's get started. So first thing that is going to make you an unstoppable wide receiver is something we call body language and pad level. So what do I mean by that? What does body language mean? What does pad level mean? So pretty much pad level is exactly how it sounds. It's the level of your pads while you are running a stem on the route. So there's something that we call indicators when it comes to running routes. You do not want to give this DB any kind of indicator, any indication that you are going to be making a cut. So when I come off the ball, I don't want to change my pad level. So many wide receivers will come off the ball, the first 5 yards, they're super explosive. They got this nice forward pad level lean like Cooper Kupp has right here. But right before the break point when they're going to make that cut, they will raise their chest up. They will do something we call exposing the number. Now, I know this DB is in zone and his eyes are inside, but he could still look out of his peripherals. But especially if it's man coverage, you got a DB running at your hip, you got a DB an off man looking at you. He is watching your body language. He is watching your hips. So when he sees your body language raise, when he sees that hip level start to raise, what do you think he does? He puts the brakes on and he's going to try to break on this thing because we are giving him an indicator that I am making a cut. I don't want any indicators. I want to stay committed. I want to keep the same pad level. I should take a picture when I am at 2 yards and a picture when you are at 10 yards, and it should be the same pad level position. Do not raise up that chest and have a good body language into the break. No indicators. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Cooper Kupp attacking. No change of the pad level and using that triple rocker to get separation. So now, second thing I want to discuss here is also another version of having good body language and not rounding your cuts. So this is Christian McCaffrey here running this choice route out of the backfield. So he's man coverage pretty much with this linebacker. I believe it's 53. Yes, it's 53. But this is something that so many wide receivers don't do, and that's they don't commit their upper body to their cuts. They start to round the cut with their body language. Okay, so what a lot of guys will do, he's going to be obviously running this choice route. He's trying to set up this DB to the outside or this linebacker to the outside and then put the brakes on and cut inside. Now, this is a choice route. This is not like a predetermined route, I don't think, but this could apply for any predetermined route. Like, let's say, for example, a post route, an out route. It all applies. So when a DB's in man coverage, what is he supposed to be watching? He's supposed to be watching your hips, right? So he's supposed to be reading your body language. So what so many wide receivers do, because they're not comfortable cutting off of 1 foot, they're not comfortable dropping their hips. If they have to run like an inside route like so, they will start to turn, in this case, their left shoulder and their left hip before the cut gets down. So they'll be running this way, and you see how McCaffrey's fully committed. His hips and shoulders, his eyes, his stride, everything is going to the right, and he's got to slip back left. What guys will do is before they cut, that shoulder and hip will turn. They give it away. And when you start to turn, not only because your body is going this way and your cut's here, that could make you risk injury because your foot's outside your frame, but also there's no explosion there. You will lose explosion if you start to round your cut early with your body language. So you have to commit hips and shoulders, not only to sell, but also to get that explosion. And that can get you more separations on your cuts. So fellas, when it comes down to body language, if you want to be an unstoppable wide receiver, you got to be a good salesman. Every good wide receiver should be a good salesman. You got to commit your body language to cuts, and you cannot make sure that you raise up with your pad level before a cut, because that is what we call an indicator. No indicators on routes, because that's only going to give it away, and that is only going to make this a lot slower at that break point. Great job by Christian McCaffrey running that choice route, being able to create separation. So now, next thing that you're going to need to be an unstoppable wide receiver is know how to snap down and not beat the drum. So how many of you guys have probably heard the phrase, you want to beat the drum at the top of the break? So like you're running a curl, you're running a comeback. At the break point, you're going to chop your feet and chop your hands and quote unquote beat the drum. So let's play this thing full speed. So this wide receiver is running this like stop route here against, looks like more like a kind of a press bail zone look. But imagine if he got to here and he got to his blind side of this DB, and when he broke down, he shattered his feet and he started moving his hands absurdly fast. That's what beating the drum is. If any of you are familiar with that. Now, again, I get a lot of crap when I bring up beating the drum. Everybody says, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, why do the pros do it? Pros don't do it. And I'm here to show you examples. But so when he goes here and he drops, it's a change of his pad level. It is a drop of his pad level. There just goes that phrase again, pad level. He drops his pad level, almost like you got a string attached to your chin and you're pulling it to your knee. He's dropping his hips down. He is decelerating. He's putting the brakes on, because that is what will get you separation against a DB who is faster. Against a scrub high school DB, sure, beat the drum all you want. That guy's not going to make a play anyways. But if you want to play college football, if you want to go up against talented level DBs and play high level high school football, you're going to need to bring something more to the table than, oh, beat the drum and just chatter my hands. Now, I think where everybody gets me wrong, I hope, is that they think I'm saying, oh, you don't want to move your hands. That's not what I'm saying. And some people flat out teach that. Some people flat out teach when you guys put the brakes on and drop to have your hands go dead. And this wide receiver does kind of do that right here. I don't personally teach that. I say that you want to keep your hands natural. Your change of direction does not come from how fast you move your hands. You moving your hands quickly and beating the drum just creates more steps with your feet, and it creates more time. I'm about eliminating wasted time and wasted motion. And wasted time will be lost, or you will not have wasted time if you were focused on changing levels. You got to change pad levels. You were running up high, chin to knee. Sit in a really high chair. That's how you want to think of it. You're running a comeback route or a curl route. I am sitting in a chair and I am bringing my chin to my knee. Not chin over the knee, not chest straight up in the air, chin to knee, and I'm sitting in a chair. If you can do that, that's how you put the brakes on. That's how you create energy, and that's how you stop on a dime. And all of those things will get you separation and make it very hard for a DB to recover. But you're just beating the drum with your hands and your feet. That takes way too long. You have no explosion, and it is very hard to do that without drifting when running full speed. You know, you can stop on a dime when running full speed and selling a route with good body language, good pad level, good speed, is dropping on a dime, snapping down, being violent with your hips. Everybody gets so afraid of this because they think that they are going to hurt themselves. And you know what? If you're a beginner wide receiver who weighs 90 pounds and you could run fast and you try to cut on a dime, you might hurt yourself because you maybe just don't have enough leg strength, enough knee and ankle stability. And that's why you need to work on those things. You can't just go out there and run routes. You got to do realistic drills, realistic gym exercises, all of those things to build on that. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver showcasing why wide receivers need to snap down and not beat the drum so we don't have any wasted time at the break. Okay, so now I couldn't make a video on how to be an unstoppable wide receiver if I didn't talk about press. So how you guys can beat press is pretty much by threatening the DB vertically and making him think you're going one way and going the other. It's pretty simple. It's not that complicated. It's pretty basic stuff. But what a lot of wide receivers don't do is they try to make you miss up here. They try to make DBs miss with their head and their shoulders. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now, again, against a scrub high school DB, that will probably work. But I do not want to get you ready for that. I want to get you ready for a college level DB, a DB who knows what he's doing. A DB is knowing that what's he supposed to be watching in man? Your hips. We talked about that. So let's look at this example. Watch what this wide receiver does. Look at how wide he steps. So many people will say, oh, you never want to step that wide. You want to stay underneath. You want to keep your feet under your shoulders. But you see it time and time again. NFL guys love to step vertically and threaten DBs vertically. So when a DB is watching your hips, when you were trying to get him to move off the platform and trying to get him to move outside, where do you think you want to do? You think you want to step behind the line of scrimmage and just like use your head and your shoulders to try to like weave him out of there? No, you want to actually step outside of his frame and bring your hips and bring your shoulders with the step, because that's what's going to actually make it look like you're running fade. That's what's going to actually make it look like you're running vertical. So when he goes here and he steps wide, you see how he maybe gives an inside jab, but look at how wide he is stepping. I love to say that like you want to think this, because this is processes for my brain, but I say that you want to think of press releases like 3 driving lanes. So you got the left lane, you got the middle lane, and you got the right lane. If I want the DB to move to the right lane, I need to step all the way to the right lane, and I need to throw my hip with that step, because that's where he's watching, and me stepping there actually makes it look like that. There comes a point in time where that DB has to commit. DBs are taught to stay as patient as possible. So if I can actually step over there and make it look like that and actually step wide, get my hips and shoulders there, even with him watching my hips, there comes a point where he has to commit. He can't sit there forever because he could easily just give up the fade. Now, some of you might ask, well, Coach, coach, what if he doesn't jump? Okay, so the next time that I'm running a fade route, I'm going to try to do the exact same thing, maybe give a little bit of tempo, inside jab. If he wants to just sit there, then I'm going to go dust him with a fade. Because if he wants to play that game, we can play that game. It's just eventually he is going to have to honor that, and he is going to have to move. So you have to make sure that when I'm doing releases, I'm fully committing. I'm committing to the side of the release that I'm trying to get him to jump to so I could slip back, go the other way. Simple as day, that's how it is. So make sure we are operating in that left lane, middle lane, and right lane, not going behind the line of scrimmage and leaving all this space for the DB. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by this wide receiver stepping outside the frame, and not outside of his frame, outside of the DB's frame to get him to jump. All right, so now, next thing I want to talk about to be an unstoppable wide receiver is knowing coverages. So you got to understand coverages, fellas. If you want to be successful, if you want to be able to play at the next level, and maybe you lack the speed, the size that, you know, a D1 coach would maybe look for, but let's say you're playing at that level anyways, any college level, you have to make sure you know where to sit in different coverages. So let's try to break this down simple for you guys. So Robinson's running this kind of comeback curl variation, if you will. It's not really, so I wouldn't really consider too much of a comeback because he doesn't really run to the sideline. But obviously what he's got right here is he's got a corner who's off in zone. And then I'm not too sure what the entire coverage is on this, but there's a nickel defender walk down and he's in charge of the flats. So let's say, for example, you were running a curl route and you see maybe that the coverage that they're coming out in is like a 4-4. So this is very basic. If you're a high school youth guy, you'll see this. You got one high safety, you got two corners who are off, 4 down linemen, and 4 linebackers, or 3 linebackers with the safety roll walk down. So you know that safety walk down is in charge of the flats. He doesn't have a whole lot of space to get over there, but if you're running a curl route and he shoots way out there, you know that you're probably going to have to sit in that zone between the will and that strong safety, right? Because that's just how the coverage is ran. So you got to know these things. You have to understand coverages just like how a quarterback would understand coverages if you want to be successful. So that's what Robinson does. He bursts up, and if you know where to sit against zone, you're on the same page as your QB. You will get a ton of receptions, believe me. Why do you think Julian Edelman got so many receptions with Tom Brady? Because he was a former quarterback. He knew where to sit. He knew how to get open. And you see guys get success like that all the time. I think Travis Kelce was also a former quarterback, and he always dominates with Patrick Mahomes. I wonder why. Because he knows where to sit in the coverages. So Allen Robinson, he sees that this guy jumps out wide. Pre-snap, probably expected that. Shifts back to the inside, find the open grass. That guy doesn't know. He's in zone. He doesn't know where we were at. That's textbook right there from Robinson making that play. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job showcasing his ability to be able to react, read on the fly, and that is another thing. You got to be able to read these coverages and react on a dime. It cannot just be, oh, pre-snap, I'm going to do this. But what if they take it away? We've got to have a plan. All right. So now, another thing to be unstoppable is you got to have a creative way of running routes. So sometimes, a lot of the stuff that we talk about, especially on this page, if you guys keep up with it, can get vanilla. It's it's the same stuff over and over again. I know how to run this route. I know how to do it this way. What's that next step? How do I get that much better? And it's adding a little bit of creativity to your routes. So I believe this is Jacoby Myers, and he is running a 10-yard out against outside shade zone coverage. So we all know that when it's outside shade, why is this DB outside shade? He's outside shade trying to force Myers to the inside because he probably has help to the inside. He's probably got some safety over there, like a linebacker maybe dropping, whatever it is. But he's got help, and he wants him to just run to the help. He did his job. He just stayed outside. So if I have to run this 10-yard out, we know that we want to attack his inside shoulder. My goal is to get him to flip his hips so I could slip under him and get leverage and win on that out route. Give the QB enough space to throw me open. But instead of him just running, he uses something we call a tempo change. And this is another creative way of running this route. Now, I think he uses this tempo change because of the timing of the play. I think this was a longer developing play to run this out route. Maybe it was play action. Maybe it was a rollout, and he had a little bit more time. If it was a timing 10-yard out, I probably don't recommend this because that screws up the quarterback's timing. But he comes off here. Now, we know that we have to do what to get his hips to flip. From the very beginning, we talked about this. We got to self-fade. We got to make sure I have good pad level. I'm running hard, running in full stride. Now, we could also sell a little stutter go. That's what the tempo change is for. He comes off the ball here. He does this little stutter move, and then he accelerates up vertical, really making this DB think that he's running a deep clear out, deep post, deep fade, because he added the tempo change. So if we could add a tempo change, maybe a stutter to some routes that I run, that can really get me some separation. So like let's think about it maybe in another way. Like let's say for example, like we have here, like this is probably a little bit more realistic to an offense that you guys would run, but like let's say you're the outside wide receiver and you have to run a comeback. So on a comeback for 15 yards, you have to be selling vertical. So another creative way to do that is like let's say you have inside shade press, you attack him, you push up vertical. We maybe give like a little stutter at like 8 yards, and then we accelerate up vertical, and then we snap down. Just another way to sell that fade, a more creative way to sell that fade. So to be unstoppable where DBs can't catch on to what we are doing and how we run routes, you change it up like this. You make your routes look the same. You add little moves, little tempo changes to different routes to make you unstoppable. Let's play this thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Myers using that tempo change and showcasing how we can get separation with that movement. All right, so now, last thing that I want to talk about here, how to be unstoppable wide receiver, is being able to catch the passes, the deep passes downfield. Make yourself a vertical threat. So when it comes to over-the-shoulder passes, you guys have to be doing something with your hands we call having late hands. So what do I mean by late hands? So look at this catch from Cooper Kupp. He catches this ball down by his waist. So to be unstoppable, fellas, you got to finish. And, it's over the middle, jump balls, deep throws over the shoulder. You got to finish the play. If you got guys who's trailing your hip, you ran a good route, maybe you closed the space, it's a deeper throw, whatever it is, got to finish. Now, being late with your hands is a great way to do that. DBs are taught when they are in this specific coverage, right on your hip, to play the hands. They see the hands start to go up, they play those hands. They put their hand right in between your hands, especially when it's high school or college and it's not a spot foul. I guarantee you they won't even try to make an attempt to look back for that ball sometimes because they know they got beat and they would rather take the 15 yards and give up a touchdown. So how we don't let them know that the ball is going to be dropping in is we're late with my hands. We don't, so many guys have got this wrong. So many coaches will say, when that ball's thrown over the shoulder, you want to go meet it halfway. You want to go raise your hands up and try to catch that. Now, when it's underthrown, you want to go up and high point it for sure. But when that ball's dropped in the bucket like this, let's be late. Trust your eyes. Watch your eyes hit this ball to your hand, because when you're late with your hands and you wait till the last second, good luck to this DB trying to hit it out, because now you got it and you're just going to put this thing away. You're going to put it away violently so nobody has a chance to make a play. So fellas, be unstoppable. You got to finish the play. Know how to catch those over-the-shoulder throws. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Cooper Kupp. This college film of him making that great over-the-shoulder catch. All right, fellas, really want to thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate. Leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback, and I'll see you guys next time.